Hi, I'm Lily.
I'm Ashley.
Welcome to the Chalkboard.
I'm so excited.
I know, me too.
We've been talking about doing this for so long.
Literally for almost a year, I feel like.
Almost a year. Well, we haven't been friends for a year.
Yeah, exactly. We pretty much talked about it since the beginning of our friendship, though.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Do you want to tell everyone kind of the start of our friendship? And why we're calling this a Chalkboard to begin with?
Yeah. When did we meet? In June?
I moved back to Charlottesville in like July. So I
we
think
met
it was
like in May. But we went before your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was living up in upstate New York at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was home for my birthday. And our friend Olivia was like, you have to meet my friend Lily. You'll love her. And I was home for the weekend. I think it was for my birthday. Yeah. And we met at church. And I was like, oh, I really like this girl. But I'm not living in Virginia. So it was kind of like a quick hello. And then 3 months later, I got a job in Charlottesville and we reconnected.
Yeah, here we are. It's so nice. We were supposed to hang out with our friend Olivia, and then she couldn't hang out anymore. So I texted Ashley thinking, like, she's not going to want to still hang out. And because we didn't really know each other.
I mean, but
yeah,
I didn't know anyone in Charlottesville.
Yeah, it's true. So then I was like, hey, like, do you still want to hang out? And she was like, yeah, if you want to. And I was like, oh, yeah, I want to. And so then we did. And we went to Cuckoo and cried our eyes out.
Literally cried on the first time we hung out.
Hangout. It was great.
Yeah. And
then we went to Shenandoah Joe's, I think, like a month later. It's August 10th because I have the screenshot.
I did not know that.
And if you're from Charlottesville, then you know that there's, in Shenandoah Joe's on Ivy, there's booths and there's chalkboards.
It's great.
It's so nice.
It's so nice. And honestly, we had to fight for our lives for that booth that day. But we got in.
That's anytime you go into Shenandoah Joe's, honestly.
Yeah. And Lily started yapping, and I was like, you know what? Let me write this down. Let me write some notes down. Yeah. And so I was taking notes. We don't have to talk about what the notes were about.
We'll talk about it
we might get there.
Maybe in a few episodes when you get to know us better.
But it was so fun. And then everyone was probably walking in the coffee shop being like, these girls are psychotic, but it's okay.
It was fine. It was great. It was a good time.
You had notes. I had notes.
I think we cried then, too.
We did cry.
Yeah. We cried a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
It's been good, though.
So, yeah.
So that's why the chalkboard. And then there's also a faith aspect to it, too. Which you want to...
Yeah, we started thinking more about it, and yeah, that's a fun way that our friendship started, but at the same time, it is very symbolic, I think, of faith, and that's something that's important in both of our lives. You know, it represents this clean slate. Like, nothing on chalkboard is permanent, right? It's not like we're writing with Sharpie, we're writing with chalk. So that's pretty similar to how Jesus, you know, if you accept him into your life, you are a new creation, and he wipes away everything, and you are a clean slate. You're a new creation. So I think it's really cool to think about the symbolism, because I know for me, when I moved back to Charlottesville, I was looking for kind of this clean slate. I grew up in Charlottesville, but all my friends had moved away. So I really only had my family here, and I was starting this new job. And so it was good for me to have that clean slate and to meet you and all these incredible people that are in our lives.
Yeah. I think for me, I was born in not born in Charlottesville, but grew up in Charlottesville.
Not a townie.
Yeah, I know. But I've been here since I was 2, so it feels like I was born here. And I moved away, and then I came back after college in 2019. And so not every season as in like literal seasons of the earth, but seasons of my life, I've, debated, do I stay? Do I go? And I really stayed in Charlottesville. And I think in 2024, I was like, okay, if I'm going to be here, I need to be super intentional about what I'm doing. And really just felt called to serve more in our youth group at church and to serve a life group of young adults that are our age. And it's been really cool to see what God's been doing this past year. But in that, I feel like I just met so many new people and had to go out of my comfort zone to be okay, here's a new set of people that I'm going to try to be vulnerable with and grow in Christ with. And it's been really rewarding because I don't think I've had this level of intentionality as far as pushing each other to be disciplined in doing devotionals and trying to do them daily, and disciplined and okay, well, I'm leading this group, so I actually have to prepare for it and stuff like that. And so I think we both this past year have just had so much change and so much growth. It's just been really cool. And God has put, the faith aspect in our lives is such a huge reason why we want to do this podcast, because I feel like on my heart, there's just been so many things that I want to share over the last few years. And I've always tried it, like starting my own podcast, and I hate it. Like, I hate doing it alone.
Yeah, it's awkward.
It's so awkward.
I mean, this is like a little awkward too, but
we'll
definitely
get
by
over
yourself.
it.
Definitely by yourself.
Yeah, you're just like talking into nothing, which is hard.
Yeah.
But I feel like our friendship, what we've seen is that God has put a lot of people in our lives that, like, we've been able to call each other out and up. And then there's God has put people in our lives to also call up, including girls of, like, it seems like all ages, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to share with people who don't know, I mean, we're both in similar circles, but with our job, specifically with youth group, with City Church, and then with my job working as an athletic director at Covenant, we're around these young girls all the time. For me, it's a lot of middle and high school girls, and for you, it's your high school girls group. Yeah. And I think it makes me sad sometimes seeing what these girls go through just in the world we live in. And there's so much that both of us have been through that's similar to the things that they're experiencing. Yeah. And I think that there's just so much knowledge to share, but also so much for us to learn. And I think that we will find that both of those things are going to happen as we do this podcast. So I know we're super passionate about just like helping the next generation, as silly as that sounds, like as corny as that can sound, but it's so true. Like there's just so much knowledge to share, and so many mistakes that I know I've made and will continue to make, and hopefully we can cry it out and learn from it and share some knowledge too. But
it's hard to find, like, to say like, okay, we want the niche to be specifically high school girls though, because like we also have girls and girl friendships our age where we're like, they're pouring into us, we're pouring into them. And so I feel like we just want to bring all that here. And so
I think this can truly be for any age of woman or really man. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think that they're, you know, it can be for anyone. That's the hope. So.
Yeah. And also like if you're older, like an older woman, I feel like it's also great because you'll get to like hear the scoop on what's going on in
the hot gossip.
The hot gossip in like Gen Z land and millennials and maybe even Gen Alpha, honestly.
W podcast.
I just learned that like a month ago.
We both just learned
from dating someone who's Gen Z. So it's super great out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the whole idea behind the chalkboard is that, you know, we have this space in our lives or we can make time in our lives, and we should make time in our lives to be reflective and to be intentional. You want to make time in your life to sit down and write out your plans or be intentional, give yourself grace. But I think the idea, there's like a proverb that says, commit your plans to the Lord. And so it's this idea that like, yeah, it's good to be a planner. Like it's not a bad thing. It's good to be intentional. That's not a bad thing. And also give all of that to Jesus and to God and see how much more fruitful and intentional your life could be when you're not just doing all these works for yourself. And that's very countercultural. Like everything is about self-care. Everything's about doing things for yourself. We're not anti-self-care. We're not anti-doing things for furthering your career or whatever. But I think there's just a better way to life when you realize like there's more people on your side than you think. And there's a God who loves you. And I think that we don't want to shy away from that. We want to be very intentional with like all these things that we're going to be talking about over the next however many episodes we do, who knows?
See.
Yeah, are really coming from this place of our walk with God is like the most important thing. Yeah. And all of our worldviews come from that place.
I agree. So speaking of clean slate and different seasons of life, just thought of this on the spot.
Okay.
What do you feel like the Lord is teaching you during this specific season of your life?
Whoa.
Not to put you on the spot, but to put
me on the spot. Go for it. That's a great question. You're gonna have to answer it too. So
I know. I'm ready. I'm thinking. Don't worry.
Communication.
Are we gonna get into it on the first episode with our fans?
Oh, we'll keep it vague. For now. But I think
don't want to traumatize them.
Oh, you're gonna hear a lot of laughing on this podcast.
We might have trauma dumped the first time we hung out, but we don't have to do it on the podcast.
No, exactly.
Well, each you guys in.
Yeah.
So
I think communication, within my friendships, within my family, and within my dating relationship. I think I've been really hard on myself, like, as far as, like, oh, I'm just not a good communicator. And I think it's easy to, like, feel like you're not good at something and then stay in that place. But I know for me, I want to be a good communicator. I want to understand and, like, what's the word? Not receive, but, like, interpret. Like, I don't want to just interpret out of, like, how I'm feeling, but I want to, like, actually listen. Well, and then also I want to speak well. And so, like, being slow to listen, or quick to listen, slow to speak, as the Bible says. And I feel like that's been honestly a theme for, like, the last 6 months for me, of just, like, slowing down, listening well, responding well, and not being afraid to, like, go to Ashley or a friend. I think normally I'll, like, keep it all bottled up, but like, actually, like, taking stock of who's around me and, like, what's around me, and being like, okay, like, I can actually learn from the people around me, and, like, not be afraid that they're not going to want to, like, I think the fear can be that if I communicate what I'm feeling, or I even feel what I'm feeling, then, like, people will want to leave. But that's just, like, not the truth. Especially with people that really care about you. So, yeah. How about you?
I love that so much. Communication is so tough. I think, for me, that's something I've always struggled with. I think we're all innately people pleasers at the end of the day, so you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but at the end of the day, that's you being vulnerable and putting your heart on the line, and that's, I think, another big goal of this podcast is just learning to be vulnerable, and that's come through us walking with the Lord and developing these friendships in Charlottesville, and, like, learning how to be vulnerable and sharing what we're going through and what we're feeling, and that's not an easy thing to do, but I think that that's how life is meant to be lived. So I love that. I think for me, when I was kind of processing 2025 and what my goals were for the year, I really started thinking about my purpose and my why. I think it's so easy to get wrapped up in, like, the day-to-day things that, like, make me anxious or make me worried, or just trying to control outcomes in my life, basically. But at the end of the day, the Lord is in control. You know, His ways and His, you know, timing and everything is perfect. But sometimes it's hard for me to believe that. So I want to have, this year, my goal is to have a faith that's, like, stable and steadfast through all the ups and downs in life. And I think with that, it's learning my purpose and my why in life. So yes, like, my job is to be an athletic director. Okay, but, like, what is my real purpose behind that? And it is the relationships that I'm building with the girls that I'm around every day, the coaches I'm around, the teachers I'm around. And it's glorifying the Lord with the gifts that He's given me. And filling my cup with those things and not being jealous of anyone else's cup. I think that's so hard in life, especially as a woman. Like, it's so easy to compare yourself to other people.
That's so real.
So I think that's what He's teaching me right now, is He has me in this place. He's given me the gifts that He's given me, and He's given me a cup to fill that is beautiful because it's orchestrated by Him. And it's like it's a daily battle, though, to believe that, because I think, I was talking to someone this week, it's so easy to read the Bible and be like, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Great. Like, for me, sometimes it's, like, really hard to believe that and to apply that in my life. And so it's learning that, no, I am worthy because He says I am. I am a child of God. And, again, everything that He's put in my life is there for a reason. And it's not meant to be compared to anyone else. So, long story long, that's, I think, what the Lord is teaching me right now.
And so, like, what would you say is, like, a takeaway? I feel like a good way to wrap up the episode. Like, what's a takeaway, a practical step for kind of what you've been learning for other people that are listening?
That's good. Just taking a minute to think about your cup and the different things that the Lord is filling it up with, and choosing to see those as good things, not comparing to anyone else's cup, but really taking time to sit down and journal or think, like, where does God have me right now? Who does He have around me? What cup has He given me to fill? And am I filling it with the things that He's calling me to fill?
That's so good.
So
write that down. Not on a chalkboard.
Not on a chalkboard, because it can be erased. Maybe with Sharpie, right?
Sharpie for sure.
What about you?
I would say similarly to you, like take a second to like take stock of what's around you and who's around you. And maybe identify one person this week that you can be vulnerable with, and not, having to trauma dump or bare your heart, to like the very bare minimum or bare, like, anyway, whatever, the depths of your soul. But like just taking time to be like, okay, for example, like, you know what, I'm going to call Ashley today and I'm going to tell her like one thing that I'm really struggling with. Maybe it's a body image thing, maybe it's a friendship thing, maybe it's something else, and being okay with whatever response she's going to give me. And yeah, just like learning to trust at that communication isn't going to hurt friendship. And it's, I think God has put people in our lives that really, can care about us. And yeah, I feel like I have so much to say about like the people in our lives that I'm really excited to like get into more episodes, because I'm like, there's so many reasons why I think, there's certain people in our lives that we just don't even realize that God has put in our lives. But
I might have some guest speakers.
Guest hosts.
As we kind of come up with a few different topics that we
DM us. Let us know which one here. All right.
I think that's it.
Oh,
are we missing anything?
Is
someone falling outside?
Okay, we're gonna start our next episode with the hot takes. So get ready.
If you have any hot takes, send those too.
Yeah, we want to know.
It can be anything. I mean, I know one in our life group there's been a lot of Taylor Swift controversy.
A lot.
I'm a Swiftie personally, but I have not always been a Swiftie. My brother actually convinced me to be a Swiftie.
That's hysterical.
So I really think, in addition to my advice that I gave earlier, if you are on the fence about Taylor Swift, have you really, like, actually listened to her? Have you watched the Eras Tour movie? Have you actually listened to all of her music? I'm not talking just, like, old Taylor Swift, new Taylor Swift. Like, just give her a chance.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like you don't have to be a Swiftie.
Yeah.
Stay strong.
No, like, you have to. But.
Stay strong. All right, bye, guys.
Bye.